Are you a fan of basketball? Which player is your favorite? Or do you want to know who has the record of the longest ever shot in the history of the NBA? If yes, this video is for you, as today I will talk about 5 of the longest ever shots in NBA history, who shot them, how they did it, and when they did it. I will explain everything in this video, so stay tuned and watch till the end so you don't miss out on anything. Let's begin with the video. Firstly, what do you need to know about attempting to make a shot in the NBA? One of the top professional sports leagues in the United States and Canada is the National Basketball Association, or NBA, a professional basketball league in North America. The top men's professional basketball league in the world is this one. The prevalent assumption that making three-point shots is routine in the NBA is inaccurate, even though this perception persists. In fact, the record for the most tries at a half-court shot in a single NBA season is 13. This is because there aren't too many throw-ins that are adequate for making a long pass. When a player attempts and misses shots from long range, their three-point shooting percentage will often decline. Everybody wants to avoid the laborious process of trying to produce something that's impossible to make in the first place. This may be accurate. However, many forecasts that were initially thought to be hopeful have been proven inaccurate over time. Up next, who has the record of the longest ever shot in NBA history? Even though several other players in the NBA have tried to make long shots, none of them have been as far out of the park as Baron Davis made for the Charlotte Hornets in 2001. After the end of the third quarter, he shot the basketball 89 feet into the net after throwing it there. It was such a spectacular shot made at just the right time of the game. With such little time on your hand, the chances of error are very high. But here, Baron showed us skills and a bit of magic that did the trick for him and ultimately set the audience ablaze. A basketball court has a length of 91 feet and 8 inches from end to end, so when it came time for Davis to take the shot, he had a minimal margin for error, just 2 feet to be exact. Because even when there are only a few seconds left on the clock, players typically dribble a few times up court before shooting. The typical length of a long shot is much less than 89 feet. Even though Davis didn't have much time left over only 0.7 seconds, he still managed to set a record on that particular day in 2001. So which other players hold the same record with the same shot height? The second place finisher is Bruce Moores, who has a length of 89 feet, 1985. It wouldn't be a complete list of the most extended basketball shots if it didn't include him. Even though the shot wasn't made in the NBA, it was still a record-breaking distance. In 1985, a player participating in the NCAA competition for Marshall made the longest official three-point shot ever, since equaled by Baron Davis. According to the list that was just cited, there's only one other person who has ever made a longer shot than that at any level of competition. Unfortunately, that player is no longer even in the top 10 in NCAA history. The opportunity to take such a shot does not often present itself to players, but Morris made the most of it. Up next, who has the record of making a shot from the second furthest distance? Norm Van Lier of the Bulls made a jump shot from 84 feet out while playing against the Spurs in San Antonio 24 years before Davis made his shot from the second furthest distance ever made in the history of the National Basketball Association. Even though this heave is 5 feet shorter than Barron's, it still highlights the importance of having all the critical components in place to have a perfect 89-footer. However, Lear's was also a great surprise for everyone. The Earthquake will likely continue to hold its record-setting status for a considerable amount of time. Even now, many years after the event in question, only one player has ever managed to score 3 points despite moving that far past the three-point line. Nonetheless, this accomplishment does not earn the number 1 place because it was accomplished by only one person. Keep watching along closely. We're about to tell you everything you need to know about Vince Carter's massive shot during the peak of his career. So if you don't want to miss out on what we have lined up for you, don't go anywhere. So, who comes third in the list of longest ever shots in NBA history? Without the king, there can be no legitimate top 10 in the NBA. LeBron James has never had much success when shooting from beyond the three-point line. It is not required to have a sharp eye to aim to make shots from a great distance. You won't need anything other than a lot of muscle for this. There is no shadow of a doubt that James possesses a great deal of this quality. Although he is powerful today, when he was younger, he had an even greater capacity for it. This was especially the case with his performance in the finals in 2007. During the game against the Celtics that season, he made a shot from 83 feet out that swished into the hoop. LeBron's shot, much like the other long-range attempts that established records, occurred in the last seconds of a quarter, with less than a second left on the clock, the third. It was seized away from him, he was given permission to toss it without resistance, and it made its way back to him. Up next, which player made this outstanding record when having a peak career performance? On the list of the most extended shots ever made, the 82-footer that Vince Carter made in 2016 stands out as an exception. Not only did this occur when Carter had long since passed his peak performance, but it is also the most recent instance that has been documented. Mr. Carter made this shot with style and great accuracy. This shot made us realize that we have such great talent and that there is always a chance to break the record that has been set. During a game in the regular season against the Memphis Grizzlies, as the third quarter was coming to a close, he managed to get his hands on an offensive board. Despite his initial hesitancy, he summoned all of his might for one last heave, which was ultimately successful on the opposite side. At any age, one must have the mental and physical courage to complete it successfully. Carter, who did it at age 39 after spending a significant amount of time in the league, is responsible for one of the most impressive triumphs ever achieved by an underdog. Up next, how did the players achieve this record? The fact that a long shot relies so mainly on chance does not make the experience any less exciting or enjoyable for the player or viewer. To successfully throw a basketball the length of a basketball court and have it go through the hoop requires a significant amount of strength as well as ability. All these players on the list worked hard to get to this level, and most would suggest to never call it pure luck. If you want to be successful, you are going to need to have top-notch athletic ability. The players named above weren't necessarily skilled shooters or threats from long range. Instead, they were excellent athletes who had the capacity to make three-point shots from more than 80 feet away. If you ask us, that is rather spectacular in its own right. Lastly, do you want to know the secret behind making the longest shot? Do you want to take more shots from a greater distance? Would you like to improve your ability to make three-pointers? We've got some excellent shooting advice for you. You must be aware of specific surefire right and wrong ways to do it when extending your range. You must exercise extreme caution because players frequently attempt to increase their range and develop minor but very serious shooting errors. The secret is to increase your range while keeping your form exact. Only two methods exist for extending your range. First, you need to develop your physical power and strength. You can do this by beginning a weight training regimen. Your entire body's strength should be increased. Your legs, core, wrist, forearms, and triceps should all be stronger and more explosive. Additionally, you can build up your wrist and forearm strength by just practicing more. Your strength will rise if you take hundreds of shots per day. And second, you need to change the shot mechanics and optimize it for more power. For players, it's frequently beneficial to make very minor advancements in both categories. And of course, make sure to keep practicing. And there you have it. Everything you need to know about the 5 longest shots in NBA history. What's your favorite player's longest shot? Let us know down in the comments section. Also, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more similar content. Thanks for watching.